Hello and welcome to the Low Budget Review Show. I'm your host Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Goblins by David Bernstein. And this is from Sam Hain Publishing. There you go. And it comes out August 4th, I believe is the release date, so you're going to have plenty of time to pre-order this puppy and get your hands on it. And I recommend that you do, because in Goblins, it's about goblins. Actually, it's about Roanoke Island being invaded by goblins. What else do you need to know? Well, I'll tell you. The book starts out with a Little League game and Jacob, the star pitcher, who has one more pitch to throw. This could be the big victory that they're looking for, or they could go down in defeat. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to tell you which way it goes. But the game ends, and Jacob's team is hanging out at the field, and their coach is hitting some balls, smacking them over the fence, and he knocks one into the woods. So Jacob goes chasing after the ball, goes into the woods, and doesn't come back. And this starts our story. And we're introduced to the chief of police, Marcus Hale, who's a great character. He starts the investigation for this missing kid. Typical stuff. Puts out an alert. You know, they're searching the woods, getting everybody together, doing sweeps. But time goes by and there's no Jacob. And then Jacob's parents are murdered. Just slaughtered. Ripped to pieces. Horribly bloody and violent, just the way I like it. So, Police Chief Hale and some other cops, they stake out the house. And they see someone that could be a kid coming back to the house, but it turns out to be a goblin, and they're able to kill it and capture it, and they don't know that it's a goblin. It's just some weird thing. But then more kids disappear, and then more people get murdered, and things just escalate until it's all-out war. So there's your basic goings on in the book, and it's just rip-roaring, balls-to-the-wall fun. This book is about 200 pages long, and it flies by. I read it in just about a day if I didn't have to go to work. Stupid day job. I would have been able to finish it, but I was so close, but had to go to work. Great summer reading. I like to sit outside and just read on a nice day, although the day I was reading this was all gloomy and rainy, which again, not bad weather for reading a horror novel, and such a well-written one. Just the writing is so smooth in this book. Everything flies by, and it's got great characters. Like I said, Chief of Police Marcus Hale. He was a big city detective in Chicago until he was involved in tragedy, and he moves to Roanoke Island just because he wants a small community where there's not a lot of crime, just some drunks on occasion. And then, you know what always happens? Goblins attack. Every time. Stinking goblins. But Hale's a great character, and a lot of the other police we get to know a little bit, and they're pretty decent characters. We got the town drunk and some others. And one of the really nice things is that Bernstein delves into the goblin world. We actually go to where the goblins are, and we learn about their society and their hierarchy and the world that they live in, which is really cool. And bloody and violent. And of course I like that kind of thing. Just, you know, typically when you're talking about horror, fun isn't necessarily the right word to use, but in this case, I think it is. It is, as I've said, very violent, very gory, but it's really a great, fun book to read, if you're into that kind of stuff. You know, it just reminds me, there's a cat over there making noise. It reminds me of those fun horror books from the 70s and 80s, where you could just pop it open and lose yourself in a good gory time. And look at that cover. Come on. That's a great a great, great cover. Oh, and one of the cool things is, since this is on Roanoke Island, it ties into the legendary disappearance of everybody from Roanoke Island back in the 16th century. It was goblins. And I like that Bernstein takes that little bit of history and uses it to build this story. So that's really cool. It's such a quick read, and this is turning out to be a quick review, because I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to say about this. Just well written, well told, fast paced, exciting, horrifying. The things that are done in this book by the goblins, they're just horrible little creatures. So I'm going to jump right into my rating. Excuse me. And it'll come as no surprise that I give it 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 goblin faces. It's pretty scary. That's practically a goblin army. Although there are many, many more goblins than just 5 in this story. Just a lot of fun. I would love to see more goblin stuff. Oh, I know what I was going to say. And it's more of a general reading thing, and that's you know, David Bernstein has quite a few books out there. I have some, but I've only read 2, and the first one I read was Unhinged, which is, there's nothing supernatural about that story. It's simply psychological horror. About a psychopathic cop playing cat and mouse games with an ex-con, and it's a great book. I reviewed that, really enjoyed it. But when you go from something like that with an author to something like this, which is incredibly fantastical, as I'm choosing to say, I was a little leery. You never know how an author is going to switch gears, and they might excel at writing one type of thing, but fail at writing another type. And obviously that's not the case here, although I was a little nervous, because you never know. But this was easily as good as Unhinged, possibly even better. I mean, I really enjoyed reading this. I mean, I enjoyed Unhinged, but it's much darker, I suppose. I mean, this is much more violent. But I think with Unhinged, because it is a human story, that makes it that much more terrifying. Not that this isn't terrifying, but completely different. The point of this whole rambling thing was that I was concerned that perhaps this author wouldn't be able to switch gears and go from the human horror to the supernatural horror, but he did it amazingly. I may not have had those concerns if I'd read some of his other stuff, which I have. I just haven't gotten to it yet. Alright, now I'm getting really rambly, so I'm going to close up this episode. There you go, one more time. Look at that great cover. Goblins, David Bernstein from Sam Hain. Pick it up. You can pre-order it now. 5 out of 5. Fantastic stuff. So, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments will be open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. If you don't post a spoiler warning, I'll delete your comment. I will have links to order the book in the description down below. I'll have one from Sam Hain, one for Amazon, so you can pre-order. Please like, share, and subscribe. And I think that covers just about everything. I'm looking over at my notes there. So that's it for this episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I'm Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.